Hello, all you freedom-loving people. President Trump announced a surprise present for the military last night of $1,776. The climate change narrative took a major hit. More people were charged in Minnesota and Massachusetts for fraud, and inflation cooled to 2.7% below expectations. Okay, let's get into it. Before we start today, I'd like to wish you all a very Merry Christmas. May you have the gift of faith, the blessing of hope, and the peace of His love at Christmas and always. We here at Front Page would like to share with you the glory, the wonder, and the miracle of this holy season. Have a blessed Christmas, everyone. This will be our last show until December 29th. Okay, so today, First Assistant Attorney Joe Thompson announced indictments against a half a dozen new suspects in a pair of recently identified welfare fraud schemes in Minnesota. Speaking at a news conference, Thompson said that investigators are working around the clock to dig into staggering industrial-scale fraud. In the new round of indictments, 5 people have been charged under the Housing Stabilization Services Program. Thompson said that a couple of the 5 suspects had no connection to Minnesota, but they came to the state after hearing that easy money could be made through that housing program. He further explained that so-called fraud tourism is a new phenomenon among Minnesota fraud cases. It simply means that the travel was driven by fraud opportunities, not tourism. And a 6th person was charged in a separate case. The suspect fraudulently claimed to provide services for children with autism. Thompson said that authorities executed a search warrant that was tied to fraudulent Medicaid billing, and they are reviewing $18 billion in claims that date back to 2018 across 14 services that were flagged for significant fraud issues. Then, speaking with reporters, Thompson clarified the true scale of the fraud in Minnesota, and he explained what makes it unique to the state of Minnesota.
But you don't see fraud on this scale in other states, and part of that is just we sit here as a team, and it's a relatively small team or a relatively small U.S. Attorney's Office, and every day we look under a rock and find a new $50 million fraud scheme. That shouldn't be the case in a state of our size. Certainly other states have problem with frauds, but I think our problem is unique insofar as we've just opened the door. You know, what we aren't seeing here, traditional Medicare or Medicaid fraud is people overbilling, upcoding. So you're instead of billing for a service with a relatively modest reimbursement, you claim to be providing a higher dollar value service, and you get more Medicaid payments or reimbursements that you should be entitled to. That's traditional. You may be getting 20% more. You're padding your bills. What we see here, and what I think is unique to Minnesota, is that's not what we're looking at. What we're seeing is programs that are just entirely fraudulent. These aren't companies that are providing some services but overbilling Medicare or Medicaid. These are companies that are providing essentially no services. They're essentially shell companies created to defraud the program, created to submit on a wholesale level fraudulent claims for services that aren't necessary and aren't provided. I think that's unique to Minnesota.
And there were people who were arrested in Massachusetts. Yesterday, 2 Massachusetts men were arrested in connection with an alleged scheme to fraudulently obtain $7 million in supplemental nutrition assistance program benefits through small retail stores that they operate in Boston. United States Attorney Leah B. Foley explained the case at a news conference.
Neil Bonner and Saul Elisme for large-scale SNAP benefit trafficking, a scheme that turned a program designed to feed families into a multi-million-dollar criminal enterprise. SNAP benefits are also known as food stamps. The defendants are charged with 1 count of food stamp fraud. As alleged in the charging documents, these men abused one of the government's most critical safety net programs for their own financial gain. This is taxpayer money meant to keep people from going hungry. These defendants decided to take it for themselves. These defendants exchanged SNAP benefits for cash, which they pocketed. Bonner, a naturalized U.S. citizen from Haiti, owned the Jesuela Variety Store. Elisme, a lawful permanent resident also from Haiti, owned the Saul Mache Mixe store. These 2 businesses were co-located within a single storefront in Boston. To be certain, these were not supermarkets. They were not full-service groceries. It would be a huge stretch to even call them convenience stores. In fact, the only thing convenient about these stores was how easy it was to commit SNAP benefit fraud. To put this in perspective, the Jesuela Variety Store is less than 150 square feet in size, smaller than some bathrooms.
Despite their limited size, their SNAP redemptions range from $100,000 to $500,000 per month. This redemption far exceeded what legitimate food sales could support. According to Foley, a full-service supermarket in the same area redeems about $82,000 per month. Investigators said that transaction data revealed suspicious patterns. More than 70% of the SNAP transactions at the store exceeded $95, which is a level typically associated with larger supermarkets. And both stores were observed selling liquor for SNAP benefits, which is a violation of federal law.
Simply put, there is no plausible way SNAP-eligible food could have been purchased from these stores for this long. Yet, these two stores are alleged to have illicitly trafficked nearly $7 million in SNAP benefits. The fraud was shocking and glaring.
Investigators also allege that the defendants sold Manipack meals for about $8 per package. These meals are a donated food product that are intended for food-insecure children overseas. These meals are funded entirely by charitable donations, and they are not authorized for retail sale. The charge of food stamp fraud that is greater than $100 carries a maximum sentence of 5 years in prison, 3 years of supervised release, and a $250,000 fine. And today, the Bureau of Labor Statistics announced that the annual inflation rate eased to 2.7% in November from 3% in September. This was the lowest level since July, and it is well below the expectations of economists who forecasted a reading of 3.1%. The Core Consumer Price Index, which strips out food and energy because they can be volatile, cooled at 2.6% from 3% in September. This is also the lowest reading since March of 2021, and it's the first CPI report since the 43-day government shutdown. As a result, many usual data points were unavailable, and one-month percentage changes were not reported because the October data is missing.
Morning, the CPI, maybe coming in a little bit better than expected. 2.7%, a little light here. I'm just reading the headlines here. Year over year, 2.7. Ex-food and energy core, 2.6. So 0.4 off. That is a very good number here. And it really, I have not looked at the internals. I'll look at them now, but it suggests that the internals are good as well. Let's see, year over year, over the last 12 months. There is no month to month, but some guys will be able to calculate. Seasonally adjusted index for all items less food and energy rose 0.2% over the 2 months. So correct my math here, Michael Santoli, but 0.2 divided by 2 is 0.1.
Yeah.
So therefore, that's a very, very low monthly rate here. The index for shelter increased, so you did get a really nice decline in shelter, which was 0.2.
These numbers, brand new numbers on inflation. You can see the annual rate of inflation down a little bit in November. It was at 3% the last time we got a reading. Now it is ticked down, cooling slightly to 2.7%. Let's get right to CNN's Matt Egan for the latest on these numbers. This is below expectations, Matt.
That's right, John. Finally, some good news on the number one economic issue, the cost of living. So the government just put out this new report saying that consumer prices were up by 2.7% year over year in November. That is much better than the forecast from economists, which was for 3%. And as you mentioned, this is a step in the right direction relative to September, which was at 3%. Now, I can't tell you what it was in October because the government shutdown messed with the collection of data during that month.
Affordability has been a common theme in recent months for the Trump administration. President Trump, in his primetime speech last night, told the nation that his administration is prioritizing the American economy and reducing the cost of living. He said that his administration inherited a mess, but it is turning the United States into the envy of the world through a series of measures, including tariffs, tax breaks, and immigration reform.
Good evening, America. 11 months ago, I inherited a mess, and I'm fixing it. When I took office, inflation was the worst in 48 years, and some would say in the history of our country, which caused prices to be higher than ever before, making life unaffordable for millions and millions of Americans. This happened during a Democrat administration, and it's when we first began hearing the word affordability. Tonight, after 11 months, our border is secure, inflation is stopped, wages are up, prices are down, our nation is strong, America is respected, and our country is back, stronger than ever before. We're poised for an economic boom, the likes of which the world has never seen. I am bringing those high prices down and bringing them down very fast.
President Trump also emphasized that wages are growing at a faster pace than inflation. He said that all jobs that were created under his administration have been in the private sector, which is the only way to make a country powerful and great. President Trump also teased that there will be new housing reforms coming in the new year with the goal of improving affordability. He explained that some of the relief in housing and rent prices is coming because deportations are reducing the number of people competing for properties. President Trump suggested that relaxed immigration policies over the past 4 years resulted in higher crime and increased costs for taxpayers. He also said that the tariffs are doing what they're supposed to do. They are bringing money into the country and they are helping balance trade with other nations. Looking forward, he said that his administration plans to keep pushing domestic energy and business production. He also said that in 2026, the nation will host the World Cup while celebrating its 250th anniversary.
There could be no more fitting tribute to this epic milestone than to complete the comeback of America that began just 1 year ago. When the world looks at us next year, let them see a nation that is loyal to its citizens, faithful to its workers, confident to its identity, certain to its destiny, and the envy of the entire globe. We are respected again like we have never been respected before.
During his speech, President Trump also surprised nearly 1.5 million military service members with an announcement that they will all receive a warrior dividend payment. The administration is issuing a tax-free $1,776 payment to military service members, honoring the nation's founding in 1776, with the money expected to arrive before Christmas.
And the checks are already on the way. Nobody understood that one until about 30 minutes ago. We made a lot more money than anybody thought because of tariffs, and the bill helped us along. Nobody deserves it more than our military, and I say congratulations to everybody.
And today, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth also posted a video on his social media and explained the payment.
We're calling it the Warrior Dividend, a direct investment in the brave men and women who carry on the legacy of our armed forces every single day. This Warrior Dividend serves as yet another example of how the War Department is working to improve the quality of life for our military personnel and their families. I can think of no better Americans to receive this check right before Christmas. Whether it's for pay, housing, face support, all elements of what we're doing are to rebuild our military. So to the American warrior, President Trump and I and the entire War Department, we have your back. We thank you for your service, and we thank you for your sacrifice. We love you and your families, and we wish you a very Merry Christmas.
Four Republican representatives joined Democratic lawmakers in their efforts to force a vote on a 3-year extension to the enhanced premium tax credits under the Affordable Care Act. These four members are Representatives Brian Fitzpatrick, Mike Lawler, Robert Bresnahan, and Ryan McKenzie. They signed a discharge petition that was circulated by Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries that will force House Speaker Mike Johnson to put the measure to a vote in the House. Fitzpatrick and Keegan's each sponsored bills that would extend the enhanced subsidies for 2 years and 1 year, respectively, instead of the Democrats' 3 years. But both bills were repeatedly blocked by party leaders from securing a floor vote. While testifying before the House Rules Committee on Tuesday, Mike Lawler said, "This is not about politics. This is about addressing an issue that we both agree is a problem. Obamacare has not actually produced the results that was intended, but the immediate issue before us is the expiration of the enhanced premium tax credits." The Rules Committee rejected both bills on Tuesday, and by yesterday morning, the 4 Republicans had signed Jeffrey's petition. According to House rules, a signer must wait 7 legislative days before they can call for a vote on the matter. Johnson must then arrange the vote within 2 legislative days. Johnson told reporters last night, "It will be on the floor that first week of January when we return." Hours after the 4 moderate Republicans joined the Democrat-led discharge petition, the House passed another bill, the Lower Health Care Premium for All Americans Act, which they say will lower health care costs for a broad swath of Americans by roughly 11%. It allows small businesses and people who are self-employed to band together to purchase health care coverage plans, giving them access to greater bargaining power. The bill passed by 216 votes to 211. Republican Thomas Massie of Kentucky joined the Democratic camp in casting a dissenting vote. The passage of this bill could be seen as a victory for Speaker Mike Johnson. Following the vote, Mike Johnson strongly commended the passage of this bill, emphasizing that its significance extends far beyond merely extending temporary benefits. Johnson said, "What we're going to do today is the first of multiple steps to help not just 7% of Americans, but 100% of Americans actually reduce their premiums, not subsidize insurance companies to raise premiums, but reduce them." Johnson stated that by comparison, extending the Obamacare subsidies is projected to yield only a 5.7% reduction, while the new bill reduces the premium about 11%. He also said that Republicans plan to hold additional votes on their health care policies when they return. Johnson said, "We'll be back in January to do much more of this." The newly passed bill will now proceed to the Senate. In the Senate, a Republican bill proposing to replace enhanced subsidies with health savings accounts failed to pass on December 11th. And despite 4 Republican senators joining Democrats in voting in favor, the proposal to extend the enhanced subsidies for 3 years also failed to advance. The Trump administration plans to close the NCRA, the National Center for Atmospheric Research in Boulder, Colorado. In a social media post on Tuesday, Russ Vought, the director of the Office of Management and Budget, said that the National Science Foundation would be breaking up NCAR. The NCAR's MESA laboratory in Boulder, which employs 830 people, is considered one of the world's leading institutions for Earth systems and climate research. It is said that it plays a crucial role in weather forecasting and climate modeling. Russ said in a statement, "This facility is one of the largest sources of climate alarmism in the country. A comprehensive review is underway, and any vital activities such as weather research will be moved to another entity or location. Efforts to dissolve the National Center for Atmospheric Research will begin immediately, but this move has drawn opposition from both academic circles and local governments." Antonio Busalacci, the president of the University Corporation for Atmospheric Research, said that the closure would set back our nation's ability to predict, prepare for, and respond to severe weather and other natural disasters. Colorado Governor Jared Polis stated that should the plan be implemented, it would not only jeopardize public safety, but also constitute an assault on science, thereby undermining America's scientific competitiveness. Climate change has become a politically correct topic within mainstream media. Just a few years ago, any discourse challenging the orthodoxy of climate change would have been banned by most platforms. However, President Trump has consistently denied the theory of climate change. He has labeled climate change as a hoax or a con job. At the United Nations General Assembly, he described it as the greatest hoax in history. Federal Representative Dan Newhouse announced yesterday that he will not be seeking re-election for his congressional seat in 2026. This 70-year-old lawmaker is one of only 2 remaining Republicans in the House of Representatives who voted to impeach President Trump in 2021 over the January 6 event. At the time, Newhouse said that he was voting to impeach President Trump because the president did not strongly condemn the attack, nor did he call in reinforcements when our officers were overwhelmed. He said our country needed a leader and President Trump failed to fulfill his oath of office, Newhouse stated in his announcement. This decision comes with no reservations or remorse, only gratitude for the tremendous opportunity to have represented my home state in Congress. After more than 25 years of public service, including over a decade in the House of Representatives, he said that he was profoundly grateful for the trust placed in him by his constituents and for the experience of working with colleagues from both parties. Looking forward to a new chapter in his life, he expressed his gratitude for his family's steadfast support and his intention to continue serving his community and country in other capacities. Newhouse was first elected to the House of Representatives in 2014, and he currently represents Washington's 4th Congressional District. The district is a solid Republican stronghold. Newhouse expects that Central Washington will have a strong, capable leader to whom he can pass the torch to. Newhouse's decision makes David Vladow of California the only remaining House Republican who voted to impeach President Trump in 2021, but Vladow faces a tough re-election in a battleground district. The People's Government of Wuhan Municipality, the Chinese Academy of Sciences, and the Wuhan Institute of Virology of the Chinese Academy of Sciences are suing Senator Eric Schmidt for roughly $50 billion. The lawsuit accuses Schmidt, FBI Co-Deputy Director Andrew Bailey, and the state of Missouri of damaging the reputations of CCP China Wuhan and the associated research facilities through malicious, vexatious litigation, fabricating enormous disinformation, and spreading stigmatizing and discriminating slander. In response, Schmidt said on Tuesday during an interview with the Ingram Angle, "It's totally ridiculous. They're just mad that we exposed their lies and their deceit." In April of 2020, during his tenure as Attorney General of Missouri, Schmidt filed a lawsuit against the Chinese Communist Party and multiple CCP government agencies. The lawsuit alleged that the CCP authorities concealed the outbreak and failed to contain it, resulting in the pandemic's global spread and causing immense loss of life, human suffering, and economic turmoil. The indictment further alleged that the Chinese Communist Party hoarded personal protective equipment that was required by medical personnel to treat COVID-19 patients, and this directly undermined the response capacity of healthcare institutions in the state of Missouri. On March 7, 2025, a U.S. federal judge ruled in favor of the state of Missouri. Schmidt said Missouri got a $24 billion judgment against them, and they don't like that. They unleashed COVID on the world, we sued them, and we won. Following its court victory, Missouri announced it is proceeding with actions concerning $24 billion in COVID-related claims, and they are planning to seize Chinese-owned farmland and other assets. Schmidt blasted the lawsuit against him as sour grapes, while explaining that his team is working on translating the legal papers served on him. He said, "I won't be apologizing anytime soon, as you'd imagine." Yesterday, the Trump administration announced an arms deal with Taiwan amounting to more than $11 billion. This is the second arms deal with Taiwan in President Trump's second term. If approved by Congress, the deal would be the single largest military sale that the U.S. has ever made to Taiwan. The deal includes medium-range missiles, artillery, and drones. It covers 82 high-mobility artillery rocket systems and 420 Army tactical missile systems that are similar to what the U.S. provided Ukraine during the Biden administration. It also includes 60 self-propelled howitzer systems and related equipment. The State Department hailed the deal as one that will protect America's national economic and security interests by supporting the recipient's continuing efforts to modernize its armed forces and to maintain a credible defense capability. Taiwan's Foreign Minister Lin Chiao-lung thanked the U.S. yesterday for its long-term support for regional security and Taiwan's self-defense capabilities, which he said are key to deterring a conflict in the Taiwan Strait, which is the body of water separating Taiwan from China. And Beijing is extremely indignant about this. The CCP's foreign ministry was quick to condemn the move. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Guo said, the U.S. support for Taiwan's independence through arms will only end up backfiring. Using Taiwan to contain China will not succeed. And that's a wrap for this episode. Thank you so much for your support of Front Page. And again, have a very Merry Christmas, everyone. We will see you again on December 29th. And please remember to leave a comment below the video. This is really helping us to be seen all around the world. The more people who watch Front Page, the more freedom-loving people the world will have. And please hit the like button and hit the notification bell after subscribing. And please share this video with your friends and family because everybody deserves to know the truth.